very special episode of Cel Damage. Will Violet finally learn of the disease that's slowly killing her? Will Cinder finally become house-trained? Nah! We'll just drive around way too fast and blow up everything in sight like we do every week. And don't forget to call in during the show and buy crap that you'll never need. Not available in all states. Cel Damage, tonight at 8.
Vehicular combat games are nothing new today, but they were all the rage in the days of the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, N64, GameCube, Dreamcast, and Xbox. Cel shading was also starting to take its place in gaming around the turn of the century, and when these two things formed an alliance, we were treated with Cel Damage in 2001. Now this was a game that didn't get the best critical acclaim, but under the right circumstances, could be just what you were looking for. A game I owned on Xbox at launch, and later down the line on GameCube to play with my cousins, where I'd destroy their young egos with cartoony mayhem. Now, since those days of racing and destruction have been over, I'd unfortunately forgotten just about everything I knew about this game. I guess I just played way too many games, and this was just bumped right out of my mind. Luckily, this game has been re-released in HD for current consoles, and I've been given the chance to relive the experience once again. The premise of Cel Damage HD is a simple but neat one. Cel Damage is a TV show where actors, or contestants, battle out in their custom-to-them vehicles in races, capture the flag, and demolition matches for fame and glory, as well as the benefit of the audience's entertainment. Now, in said matches, weapons tied to each vehicle, as well as environmental and timed pickups are available to dish out punishment to the other players in hopes of earning victory. For casual reference, it's kind of like Mario Kart, but it's a lot more violent and cartoony. And I'm sure cartoon violence was used by the ESRB rating somewhere along the way as well. Being that this game came out at the turn of the new millennium, we get some of your usual, unusual archetypes for our destructive pleasure. I feel like in today's society, some of these guys would immediately be taken to task by the PC crowd, and I'm not talking about Lord Gabit's minions, so figure that one out. I'm all for this kind of thing, because these characters are fun and funny, and it's all the things you want to associate with a good time in gaming. Or maybe that's just me. You know, I'll schedule an appointment with the vet to get myself checked out just as soon as I finish this sentence. Alright, it's done. So we start off with 6 unique characters with vehicles and weapons tied to their personalities, with 4 bosses available to unlock with continued play. There's even videos to unlock that gives a little look into who they are in very humorous ways, because if it wasn't already readily apparent by now, this game is pretty funny sometimes. Within the modes themselves, we have 4 worlds and 3 levels in each world for a total of 12 arenas to race in, capture flags, and maim your opponents. There's even a boss level to unlock. Now each world has a specific locale tied to it, like desert, jungle, Transylvania, and space. Now I probably got at least one of those titles wrong, but the idea is correct. They've all got specific feels to them with traps, weapons, and sounds tied to the locations. And speaking of weapons, the game features over 30 weapon power-ups to collect and use for ultimate annihilation. Cartoon staples like baseball bats, chainsaws, and extended boxing gloves, to oddball types like freeze rays, sheeps with dynamite, and vacuums. Now, you're even able to modify these matches with specific types for added variation. If you want to only be able to use the boxing gloves, add that, and that's the only weapon. If you want to have a different smorgasbord of all these types of weapons and just pick and choose, you can do it. You want to have only melee, you can pick and choose it. It's got a lot of opportunity here. Now, there's plenty to chase down here as well, and that said, there are clearly some better ones than others, so either get really good at using the one that you like the most, that may not be great, or pray you can track down the one that packs the most punch if it spawns in a specific location. Because they're all random, it seems, and if they're not, I'm too stupid to figure that out. Graphically, in 2001, the game was lovely. Now, in HD, that goes double. Cel shading just lends itself to that. If you're going to go for the cartoony look that will stand the test of time, Mr. Cel Shading's your guy. Evidenced by Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda Winwaker. You remember that one, right? The one that everyone flipped out in disgust over, but when they remastered for the Wii U, it looked just as fantastic and everyone suddenly loved it? Okay, I got a bit off topic, but I think it illustrates a point here. Cel shading, when used appropriately, looks beautiful, and this game is no exception. Now, you might not be able to glean just how nice it looks via screenshots, but in motion, the game looks wonderful. The environments pop and the physics work well, and I never noticed anything that threw the game off in my many, many hours of single or multiplayer play, other than the one time when I came in first that made no sense. You can find the video on my YouTube channel. The load times are really quick throughout, and I really enjoyed the little weird, I don't know what you would call it, gummy physics of the cars that they have. I don't know the technical term, but when they move and float around, sometimes a vehicle looks like they're jelly or gummy candy or whatever. I mean, it's true. I'm not going senile yet, I promise. Musically, Cel Damage HD is actually pretty solid. The tunes range from funky to harder to jazzier and moody, and all with the level appropriate tunes, so nothing seems weird or out of place. I mean, you wouldn't want jungle tunes in space, would you? Oh, you would? Well, then you're psycho, and you can tell the police I said that. They're mostly catchy, and I found myself toe-tapping or the equivalent pretty often. Now, the same goes with the sound effects. The game does a good job, even down to the various catchphrases and voices. It's all well represented here. Okay, so let's get into the kinds of modes called events that we have here, and what they offer. The first one is Gate Relay, and it's your typical racing game mode, but with the added hardship that you need to pass through gates in proper sequence in order to win. Now, if you miss one, you'll have to get through it as quickly as possible to have any shot at victory. This is your standard combat racing mode, so this should be expected. It plays very well, with the speed and dynamic of the players adding tension throughout each lap. And I especially like that if you missed a gate, that you didn't have to go through it from one specific angle. You could tackle it from any angle. If you missed it and you wanted to back up into it, if you were able to do it, you could. Just get through it and hope you can zoom to the next one quickly. It's a very nice touch because anything other than easy difficulty here, the game can really screw you over. So, you know what? You will work for your money, honey. Next up is Smack Attack, and this is the mode that you're probably going to spend most of your time in. It's the basic battle mode in these types of games, but this time you have to smack your opponents a certain number of times to attain victory. You can use your standard projectile to destroy others, but those don't directly give you points unless you completely deplete their health bar, so you're going to want to use a power-up, and each of one of those hits, depending on the weapon, gives you different points. So, I mean, both are viable options, and using the stunt stick or power slides will double your points, so it would behoove you to practice those methods, because this game, it can get really out of hand sometimes. I mean, getting good with the stunt stick in general is probably in your best interest. It's really how you bridge the gap in races, and also as well as how you acquire boosts, and those boosts, especially in the races, can really, really help you out. The third and final mode is Flag Rally, and your goal is to capture flags and return them to the flagpole. The trouble? Aside from other players trying to do the exact same thing while trying to blow you up? Well, these little flags, they have feet, and they run around the arena. So, it's pretty difficult. And as an added bonus, you can carry up to 3 flags, and if the multiple flags are returned, you get bonus points for those. Now that won't be easy, however, because if you get hit with a power-up or destroyed, the flags either fly away, or they transfer to the player doing the damage. And as I mentioned before, on anything other than easy mode, the game is anything but a cakewalk. Luck, as well as skill, is needed to overcome the hardships this mode tosses at you. And as a side note, this is also my girlfriend's favorite mode to play, which is pretty odd because she sucks at video games and doesn't even care much for them, in fact, as it is. So they must have gotten something right here because this is arguably the hardest mode to play in, and it's her favorite. From what I understand, she loves the little feet on the flags as well, so plus to that, I guess. When it comes to each event type, all 13 levels adjust to the variation you're playing, so races have proper checkpoints and flag matches have a specific area dedicated to their return, and the game also allows you to tweak how many laps or smacks or flags you need to get the W, so if you want a bigger challenge or a longer challenge, that's available to you as well. On the surface, it might seem like there isn't much to this game based off of the 3 modes I just detailed, and in some ways you might be right, but dig a little deeper and it's not all doom and gloom. Each character tracks which levels you've won in for each event type, so with 3 modes, 13 stages, and 10 characters, if you multiply those out, and, if you're looking for a challenge, you've got one. You even have a few achievements tied to doing so you can get those out of the way by doing that as well. Sure, there's only 3 modes, but I spent many hours with the game, single and multiplayer, and I had fun the whole time. I never got bored. And neither did my super casual girlfriend, who played many hours as well. Which should be looked at as a positive in my eyes because, as I said earlier, not really a gamer at all. Now comes the part where I list things I didn't like or I choose to nitpick over. The game has no dedicated stats page. I'd love to see a detailed stat list here. These games are so well suited for it. I really think they all should have them. I know it's probably not easy to implement, but I really enjoy seeing how many times I killed with a weapon, or how many times I boosted, how many gates I've been through, etc., etc., etc. Now, there's also no online multiplayer. So, while the devs did explain why that is, and if you go to my written review, there'll be a link there, so that way you can check it out, which I definitely do recommend. It still would have been a major selling point and helped the game's longevity. Now, currently up to 4 players can play locally, which isn't anything to sneeze at, but with this method, it's really not that easy. You all have to be in the same place, and that's not always an absolute easy solution to do. And finally, as an achievement whore myself, I just wish there were more of them. More achievements, more harder achievements, etc., etc., etc. The game stands as it is today. You can get 1,000 out of 1,000 with a little elbow grease and a little bit of time. It's fairly easy, if you even try just a little bit. So, I know this can be a selling point for plenty of people to have easy achievements and easy 1,000 gamer score, and I don't mind games like that give us easy completions, but there's only 16 here, and they can be gotten with little effort. So unless Microsoft has changed their policy or infrastructure, developers can on the fly alter or add achievements to any game. And I wouldn't be opposed to making them a little tougher, or to achieve, or, even getting a little bit more added on at the end. Hell, I'd even be down for some DLC, because it'd be all new content. My favorite character, then and now, is Foulmouth. This bird just don't give a duck. He's an old-timey gangster Donald Duck. Well, not really. Kind of. I have a few others I really like, but he's my dude. I just love the cut of his jib, man. I don't know what it is. His old-timey voice, his gangstery passions. Okay, well, let's get back on track here. We're almost at the end. And in the end, there are shortcomings to this game. Overall, though, I had an absolute blast playing it, both single player and multiplayer. So if you're looking for an unconventional racer or a combat game, you could definitely do way worse than this, especially for the price that it goes for. And hey, remember, easy achievements! Now, if you'll excuse me, my cat is being wicked cute in order to get my attention, and I have to go attend to this. Come to think of it, actually, maybe he's the one who needed the vet appointment. Oh, shit.
Whatever you want. Take it. Money, jewelry.
I don't want that. You're gonna put me on the show, see? You're gonna make me a star, if you know what's good for you. Huh?
Oh, not you again. You're already on the show, you moron. Oh, actors.